If you need someone to take charge of a chaotic situation, you look for an Enneagram Type 8. Known as the Challenger, 8s are the bold, fearless, natural bosses of the personality ecosystem. They operate on a single driving worldview. I must correct the injustices of this world. This drive transforms everyday life into a battlefield. Lines are drawn quickly, and in their eyes, you are either for them or you are against them. This creates an immediate complication. 8s adopt an immovable, my way or the highway spirit that alienates the exact people they intended to protect. Their refusal to compromise frequently pushes their leadership capabilities toward the territory of tyranny. But what psychological engine truly drives this relentless, unyielding force? And why are 8s so terrified of laying down their weapons? To understand the 8, we have to look at the heavy armor they wear. At their best, they lead with a direct, straightforward approach and a fierce sense of justice. They act as champions for the weak. When things get difficult, an 8 is willing to absorb the conflict and play the bad guy if it means the job gets done. But that armor can be stifling. When their need for control goes too far, the protector becomes the aggressor. They become highly domineering. Anyone standing outside their immediate inner circle will likely find them intensely intimidating. In this state, 8s steamroll over other people's personal boundaries, and their frustration can manifest as sudden, explosive outbursts of anger. These aggressive outbursts function as a blunt force defense mechanism, triggered whenever the 8 perceives a threat to their autonomy. Inside that armor, the person obsessed with strength is terrified of showing weakness. This feeds an emotional pattern called lust, a longing for intense experiences. They push high energy outward to maintain strength, ensuring they never feel small. To keep that internal fragility safe, the 8 relies on a psychological defense called denial. Denial forces them to flatly refuse to acknowledge anxiety or negative emotions. To an 8, any display of vulnerability is a fatal flaw. Externally, this manifests as a demand for absolute control. They may even resort to vengeance to rectify perceived wrongdoings and maintain their invincible image. The 8 faces a significant challenge when they are hurting and refuse to seek support, viewing every offer of help as a compromise to their invincibility. This combative behavior is not a fixed destiny. An 8's actions exist on a sliding scale of self-mastery. This chart breaks down those mastery levels. In these lower tiers, the 8 relies entirely on force and intimidation, pushing people away to stay safe. However, at a high state of mastery, the 8 transitions into an empowering and magnanimous leader. Achieving this requires actively dismantling the defenses that kept them safe in the past. First, the 8 must learn to pause. Before reacting impulsively, they must step back and analyze their true motivations, adopting the objective, observant mindset typically associated with the investigator of Type 5. The next step requires 8s to consciously lower their guard and allow others to help them. This means adopting the traits of the Type 2 helper, learning to see vulnerability as a bridge to connection rather than a liability. Finally, they must practice empathy, moving toward the peacemaker traits of Type 9. This involves realizing that an opposing viewpoint is not automatically a declaration of war. As the Challenger incorporates these traits, they find true authority comes from listening and softness, transforming them into a courageous defender. Ultimately, Innen's strength becomes truly effective only when it is consciously used to empower others through both conviction and compassion.